What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to be taking you through my exact process for approaching a redesign. How do we take this outdated old website that we already have and make it something new, fresh, and interesting, while also retaining all of the elements that make us uniquely us? This is a really tough place to be in sometimes when you know you don't like what you're seeing on your own website, but you know you need to start doing a change. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to take you through one of our recent launches for a company called Huckle Insights. They had an outdated WordPress site, and we took them through a light brand refresh and implemented them onto Webflow in just 1 week. I'm going to take you through our exact process for where we started, getting them from where we were to getting them onto the new platform, and making sure that their website was something that they were proud to share. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start here in Figma, checking out their old website design. As I said, this was developed in WordPress with the Elementor builder, and there was just a lot of things that we wanted to improve from the beginning. They knew that what they were doing, in all honesty, in conversations with Andrew, who's the go-to-market lead there, they just felt it made their product look outdated. They were working from a WordPress template, and it just didn't give them the flexibility they needed to update things. I actually recorded a breakdown of their homepage. It was part of my outreach to them, and I'll include a link to that in this video here. Basically, what we were doing was, I told them, we are directionally correct here above the fold. There's a lot of things we can improve design-wise. So I told them they have very good social proof with their logos and their stats right here. Scrolling down, they just didn't have good use of white space, iconography, or just general layout best principles. They had testimonials and a sliding grid that didn't emphasize the biggest key points of them. And they just had simple FAQs right there. They didn't have any additional pages going deeper into their product features, and that was something that we wanted to emphasize in a rebuild. So when we approach a website refresh, we start with what we have. So we always start using a tool called Relume to approach a sitemap, and that way we can use a web-based platform like Relume to start generating some of the sections and pull from a component library to get the design and the ideas flowing. So I just pulled up our Relume project for Huckle Insights, and if you go through, we basically started at the homepage, had a brief overview of all the sections that we wanted to include, and then we switch over to this wireframe tab, and this I was kind of explaining to them live as we were doing this, is we have a general basic approach for the refresh. Okay, if we have a 1-week time span, we want to get on the Webflow, what are the core pages we need so that we can use the CMS to templatize these further? And this was a really good job of not getting overly refined with copy, but just explaining to them, hey, these are the sections that we need, and this is a general kind of skin and bones approach to how we're going to approach a redesign. And obviously with the brand refresh, we're going to tie our new brand elements onto sections that look directionally like this. So after we have our sitemap built, we have the infrastructure in place, we can really go in and start to be more creative with design. Huckle did have an existing brand guidelines they were working with. So what we always do in Figma is when it comes to approaching design, we usually work from their existing brand guidelines, which is this very simplified doc right here. As you can see, they had typography, color schemes. What we do is we go in and we use these Figma plugin called Foundations Color Palette Generator, and it lets us take each of their main color palettes and really extend it so we can use these in design. We have different hues and gradients that we can use to get really creative inside of Figma. And as you can see here in the right tab, we have all of these added as styles. So we can really just go in and eyedrop when it comes to approaching different sections designs, and we can get really creative with colors. I should mention too, at the start of every project, we're always working from the Relume Figma kit. I highly recommend you guys start with this when you're approaching a redesign because it makes it really easy to implement these styles into your Figma workspace. Now, as kind of a bonus testing ground, I wasn't going to include this part, but Relume also has a little lightweight style guide feature where we can upload those colors that we just shared in the style guide, and we can start to really directionally test, okay, adding some placeholder imagery, adding some copy, and testing different UI elements like rounded corners, different button styles, things like this that give us a directional sense of how the website is going to appear once we get into Figma and we actually have more control. Then we go and we fill out this Figma style kit that I was just talking about that we downloaded from Relume. In Figma, you can set both color and typography and also effect styles for things like drop shadows so that when we are designing the final wireframe, we can implement those a lot more globally and not have to redo them and apply them to every element. So as you can see, we have variables set up for all of our colors, all of our typography, all of our UI elements like our buttons. And now on to the fun part. Now that we have our foundation set with what we need, now we can get creative and start sourcing inspiration. What are things that we like? What are we looking for that what are other competitors doing well in terms of their website that's illustrating their product very well. We do this a lot in healthcare, and it's very helpful to see what are the sections that we want to go in and replicate. So in this phase, I'm going in and I'm taking a lot of screenshots from existing websites. In our kickoff calls and our collaboration, getting their eyes on some of these layouts to see what is drawing their attention. What do they think illustrates your product well? That's why it's really helpful, because when we're on calls, I can literally screen share and I want to see where the founders' eyes are moving, how they're reacting when they see different sections and layouts. What do they like and what are they drawn to? And basically, I take all those inspiration sites, I take full page screenshots of them. We use a tool called Go Full Page, which is a Chrome extension. If you go to the Chrome Web Store, you can download it. It looks like this little tab right here. You can click it and it'll take a full page screenshot. And I'll do that as many times as I please to really get the creative gears going. And then I'll just drop them all into Figma. And I'll go through literally and I'll take the pen tool in Figma and I'll start circling some of the things that I like and come to mind. For example, on OnePulse website, we really liked their colors and layout. We really liked this section right here that was kind of a lightweight bento. We really liked this logos presentation that was on the Missive website. And we really loved this really simple branded color themed features layouts that Seamless AI had on their website. And of course, we also really love this tab section that was on Seamless's website too. So as you can see, I'm feeling really loose and creative. I'm just trying to get the juices flowing from a design standpoint. Next, here you'll see in my workspace in the wireframe tab, we really get creative and messy. We implement the wireframes that we went in and built in Relume. We imported them in with the plugin, and now we're just applying the combination of the brand styles that we already implemented into Figma. We get really creative with dragging in those brand elements, making cutouts and SVGs, things like drop shadows and glows play a big role in how we approach the redesign. And we're also going through multiple variations. We tried highlighting with some of their green typography. We didn't like that direction. We duplicated it and played with some more of the purples. We tried a couple different hero sections that showed the product in different ways. But the biggest thing we wanted to do was make their product seem very simple. We would basically tie each of their core brand features to one of their color schemes and use screenshots and UI elements here in Figma to make them seem as simple as possible. When we were approaching this rebuild, I actually had access to the demo version of their app, and I was just going in and taking screenshots, importing them to Figma, and making a really custom layout for each one. And as you can see, once we're directionally set on the design and the wireframe, we've done tons of exploration. We've gotten the founders and the product leaders' eyes on all of this. We then head into Webflow. So now we open up our Webflow workspace here. You're going to be able to see the fully developed website. And Webflow actually works with us comments, so we can work collaboratively, really dial in the stats and features of all of this. But basically, what we do is we go in and rebuild all the pages from Figma one to one. The first thing we do is we go in and we set up our variables, which again are like the Figma file where you set your colors, typography, and styles are going to be using more than once. We add them here as all of our colors. We name them. We have our color schemes that are tied back to our primitives. We have our typography, which is basically just Roboto here. Then we set our default spacing and stylistic elements. When we go and redo those pages one at a time. This is actually a fairly tedious process because we want to make the site feel alive. We want to really retain that design style once we're here in Webflow. The final thing we do once we've rebuilt all of our sections before we do a handoff is we'll always give our clients templates from Relume of sections that they can go on and customize if they want to add on to the site. So Webflow does a really good job of letting us have static page templates here in the left tab, and we'll go in and we'll put in a lot of the Relume components that they might be using as they scale the website. We keep the custom sizing that we've already built. Everything is already fluid and responsive out of the box, and as you can see here in the right tab, we've actually gone through and stylized these on every single breakpoint so that when the client wants to go in and update these over time, everything's already fluid responsive and is built the way the site already is. It's going to drop in there, and it's going to feel like it's already part of the crew. There's no starting from scratch, and there's no risk they're going to break the website as we develop it. Really, the final step that we'll go in and do, and this is probably the most tedious part, is adding animations and interactions. Like I said, we want the site to feel alive when we launch it. So adding these little subtle touches in, the drop shadows, the glows, the loading animations is super important to make sure the site feels premium, is custom, and really demonstrates the modernity of their product. We have a lot of different pages here in Webflow, so I'll go through these super quickly, but I'm really proud of the way their branding came to life on this project, and I think we knocked it out of the park. Thing I like the most is their features page here. There's a lot of interactions on it. I think we did a really good job of bringing their product to life with some of these custom mock-ups here that are on the bottom. And one of my favorite ones, we go to the bottom here, we see a really cool main value prop that's illustrated by screenshots of their product. So that is a super quick overview of what our process looks like when we migrate clients from WordPress to Webflow. Everything from the ideation to the wireframes to knowing what information we actually want to get on the site to then combining that in Figma, doing a lot of creative exploration, and then onto the technical part of development, applying code to those designs and getting it live. This was a super rewarding project because not only are they on a platform that makes their product look more modern and interactive, they are actually more excited to get to work every day. They're onboarding more sample demos to their platform, and they're just more confident in their product as a whole. The team can go in and add sections, make layout changes whenever they want, and we did this all in less than a week. That is the power of Webflow, and that is the power of having a website expert on your marketing team. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was helpful, gave you a little bit of an overview of our creative process. And if it was, you're going to love the first link below, which is a Notion swipe file of some of the highest converting website designs on the entire internet. This is something that we use a lot in our design phase. As you just saw in Figma, we're always taking screenshots to reference other high converting websites when we approach a redesign. And within that file, you'll see a ton of some of the sections and layouts that we are using on our client sites. I encourage you to take me up on that. That'll be in the first link below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.